back. Thank you for staying tuned. This is our first conversation for this morning. It's all about learning the art behind retirement preparation. And we have joining us on set Executive Director at Peacework Belize, Carol Bob. And we also have the Administrative Secretary at Peacework Belize, Jade Gomez. Good morning.
Good morning, ladies. And thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure having both of you. Why this discussion, preparing for retirement?
Well, to be very honest, Paul, it's not a discussion that we've had in Belize. I think it is overdue. It is time that we address this issue, because many people think of retirement when they are almost time to retire. Retirement planning should begin the moment you become employed. So if you can think back about when you were first employed, did you ever think of preparing for retirement?
No, it's so young and you're thinking about
and then
the money you can spend,
And not only that, young people feel like they will be forever young, and that's not the reality. So retirement should actually begin the moment you become employed. And I want to reach out to employers. Please help your employees. Help them as you onboard them to your institution, your organization. Teach them about retirement planning.
Yeah. Now you have Miss Jade with us. Introduce her. We've already done the introduction, and help us understand her purpose.
So Jade is my administrative secretary. Peacework Belize is trying to be more inclusive. So we are offering training not only in English but in Spanish. And so today Jade is here because whatever I'm saying, she will summarize, she will reach out, she will say hello. She can do it soon after I'm finished talking to reach out to people and say retirement planning is very important and start now.
Yeah, because you don't say a lot, so I just want to make sure Jade
could remember.
Right?
No, I'm doing okay.
Okay.
I don't know if you would want to talk a little bit about what Peacework Belize does.
Okay, so Peacework Belize is a non-profit organization. And we focus on the 3 E's: empowerment, education, and engagement. And we want people young to old, I don't want to say to old, but we target young people as early as 3-year-olds. We have educate them, empower them on financial literacy. And now we're looking at people who are advanced in age. How to prepare them as well. Actually, I want to reach them before they are advanced in age. But so even if you are still retired, there are some tips that you can learn to manage your life better. But ideally, Paul and Sabrina, you are at a stage in your life right now to think about your retirement.
Yes.
Let's talk about it then. Let's talk a bit about how do we begin to prepare for retirement from all fronts.
So there are 3 things that you have to bear in mind, 3 essential topics that must be addressed: financial preparation, psychological preparation, healthcare, financial preparation. Please bear in mind that when you retire, you will not earn the same money that you earned when you were employed. As a retired teacher, I'm not getting my full salary. My salary is reduced. I get about 2/5 of what I was earning. So then it's a different lifestyle. You have to ensure that you know how to budget, differentiate between your wants and needs, and also ensure that you pay off debts before you reach the age of 55, because all those things, honestly, retirement is supposed to be a time of enjoyment. You know, you have your leave bucket list, Paul.
Yeah.
I want to go to Dubai, I want to go to this place, that place. This should be the time. However, if you did not plan for it, that will be very difficult.
And a lot of people find themselves in that position, right?
They find themselves in that position. I've also observed that people wait very late in their life to acquire a home, and they get a mortgage. And by the time they turn 55, as a public officer, you must retire at 55.
Yeah.
And how will you afford a mortgage plus your other daily needs? It will be very difficult.
So this is for persons, the points you just mentioned are for persons who would be, I guess, in the public service, but there are also people in the private sector who don't necessarily have a pension plan.
Thank you. Yes.
And they have to do it independently.
Right.
In the case of yourself, being a past educator, there were systems set up for persons like yourself, like pensions. You know, you get a gratuity, you get a social security. But how do you go about preparing for retirement when you're doing this independently?
Right. I'm very happy that you brought that up. People who don't have like retirement schemes in place, like public officers, like teachers, policemen, these are the people who have to bear in mind that I must save. I must save. I must have a retirement fund. As you may know, I'm also the Vice President and Education Director at HRCU. And I'm encouraging you from your one account, let's say your account number is 205, you can have a sub-account, and you can call that sub-account your retirement fund. Start to save. So I'm advising you and Sabrina, get your retirement fund started and start to save. Because as you rightly said, some people will not have that luxury to have a pension at the end of their retirement. As a retired teacher, I got my gratuity, a lump sum of money, and I am getting my pension, and I am getting social security. That's another very important topic that we have to address. And I'll ask Jay to talk about it very briefly about social security.
Yeah, so when you make your contributions to Social Security, if you have 500 contributions, you can qualify to get a pension. Now, let us say that you don't have the 500, but you have between 26 and 499. Social Security is going to give you like a subvention or a grant. However, it depends on whatever they decide to give you. But I think I would just like to add on to what you guys were discussing just now. And even if you are working with public service, right? Even if you have a pension scheme at your work, I think it's still very important for you to do your own savings and do your own budgeting, make your own retirement fund, your own emergency fund. Don't just rely on Social Security, because like Dr. Bob was saying, if we have to be real, you're not going to be getting the amount of money that you think. It's going to be probably just to cover 40% of your expenses. So it's very important that you take that onto yourself. You know, she loves to say something, pay yourself first. If you love yourself, you're gonna save, right? And it is very difficult. I mean, I'm not that old, right? But I'm not that young as I was some years ago. Imagine if I would have started saving, you know, how different it would have been. But I mean, when you're young, you don't really think about, oh, you know, I get old. That's not what you're thinking about. You were saying that, you know, sometimes the first thing you want to do is spend and buy all the things that maybe you couldn't get before. But you have to be mindful, you know, you have to add on that right now maybe I step out and I drop and then I can't work anymore, you know, God forbids, but it happens to some people. So retirement is not just for the elderly, you know, or for it's also for us.
I wanna try to figure out how we go about saving for persons who would do this independently and don't necessarily have a pension scheme in place. When we think of the way that the economy shifts year after year, preparing for the age that we would be 55 years old, which is maybe 20 years or 30 years from now, the economy might be completely different. So $100,000 might not have the same value that it would be 20 years from now. So how would you encourage a person to go about setting a figure for how they should prepare for pension and retirement?
What I want to start off by saying to, or continue to say, that financial literacy is very, very important. If you would talk to the average Belizean, they would tell you, oh, things bad, and things are bad, things are expensive, and the whole world is suffering from inflation. And they would say that they can't save, but they can. Because there are things that they are buying that are not needs. They don't need it to survive. And so it takes a discipline. So you have to ask yourself, do I want to become a dependent? The way how life is going on, the lifespan of a person has extended. People are now living longer. Inflation, things are expensive. Even though your children may want to assist you, they cannot. So we as an individual, Paul, Sabrina, even though you are young now, you need to prepare, because you don't want to become a dependent. You don't want to, many times we see elderly people on the street with nobody to take care of them. So financial preparation is key.
I think what Sabrina brought up is a very important point, because with inflation, it kind of, how you say it, it kind of diminishes the value of your money that you would put in a saving as time progresses. But what I think or understand is helpful is putting it in a savings account that yields an amount and interest that can keep up.
Right,
with
and I wanted
the level
to
of
say, I did
inflation.
not mention I mentioned about the sub account at HRCU.
Yes.
That's an investment.
Tell me.
You would be getting dividend if you have, let's say, as I mentioned, your main account has in your shares, then you have maybe 2 or 3 sub accounts. All those accounts will get dividends.
No, and we're not trying to be very technical
right,
here.
and but yes, things we can't predict what will happen in 20 years. But you have to start to prepare now. It's better to have something than not to have anything at all. And people like to ask me, so how much should I save for retirement?
That's a good question.
That's the question I was trying to ask.
How
much do I need to have
of your salary or your income, monthly income, should I put aside for retirement? Do you have a figure? Do you think about that?
I can't tell you, Paul, how much you need for your retirement, because it's dependent on
your
lifestyle, right? But however, when you do your budget and you focus on your needs, you will have to determine how much I will need. Right now, look at how much you are spending. There are certain things that you are doing now you will not be able to do when you get older.
So let's say our budget would be $1,500. Hopefully we're not paying a mortgage at that time. So $1,500 times 12. So that's $18,000
for the year.
Let's say we live
Off $1,000.
20 years after retirement, you'd need $360,000.
Right. But remember, as Jade mentioned, we have to ensure that everybody is entitled to Social Security. To be very honest, it's not a large sum of money that you will get, but it is something that can help you. At least it can help you with paying your utility bills that may be covered, and then maybe your savings to cover your food. And as you get older, you have to become more mindful. All the spending, the extravagance, buying a lot of clothes, all the going out, all the things that you used to do, you will not be able to do because you have a reduced salary or a reduced sum of money coming in. So your lifestyle will have to change.
Yes.
And I appreciate Jade's presence here, because speaking about inclusivity, you have a young person's perspective that you could also share, right? What would you say are some of the habits that we have, as you've observed, spending habits as young people that are destructive to our venture in terms of saving for retirement?
There's a lot, to be honest. I feel like sometimes it has to do with doing more wants than needs. And sometimes it's because we want to fit in, and you're not. It's the truth.
It's real.
Okay, because at this point in time, we're trying to find ourselves, and sometimes, maybe you go and you spend out your money on a nights out, and the next day when you wake up, your bank account or you don't have anything on your purse or in your pocket.
One life to live.
I personally, I have met people like that, and I do see the struggle. Like you're earning really good money, really substantial money, and then in 2 days they don't have the money anymore. And they really just spend it out because they just want to fit in. And I also think that we need to take into consideration also, when you're young, try to invest in yourself, your education. The more educated you are, or maybe you can invest in learning a vocational skill. It's going to generate money when you are no longer working, maybe for an institution or something of that sort.
That's an excellent point.
That's going to also raise your income. Try to find a side hustle. just do things that are going to benefit you to have a better lifestyle. If you want to keep your lifestyle. And yeah, I would just suggest people like myself, and I tell myself this, just try to focus more on your needs. What do you really need? Do you need, to go out and eat out with your friends, and all the time?
Every
No.
week, yeah.
Maybe you can do a food at home, do something, But that's the only thing I would tell young people. Invest in yourself, in your education. Education is very, very good. Sometimes we don't see that when we're like 16. I can tell you, I used to like school, but now that I'm a little bit older, I see the importance of it.
Yeah, I think it's amazing how, as young people, we could make all this money, and then at the end of the month, we have no idea
Where
it
it
went.
Right.
I've been in that shoe before.
Yeah.
Before I began budgeting, it's like, all right, the year has passed. I look at how much I've made for the entire year, and then I look back. All right, where that money gone? I have no idea. So it's important. And I appreciate your input and
Right.
into this conversation.
So,
You're going to say
so
something?
another thing too, and I think young people struggle with trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
My
big
friend has
problem.
all the latest gadgets. My friend has all the latest shirt, the name brands, and they're trying to compete because they want to appear. It's like Jade and I have this discussion, and I call it perceived wealth.
Right.
And to be honest, it's not only young people. I find older people, some of them want to, and I tell them, well, oh, this came from Macy's. I said, my one came from Ross.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy with my Ross article,
Yeah.
and I feel good. So people sometimes spend so much time on material things.
Yeah.
Things, I will not wear a shoes. Some people don't even want to go in Ross because
They don't want to get seen there.
they don't want to be
So,
seen there. Well, you know what? When I go to America, I'm always in there. So
what I hear here is the conversation isn't necessarily to begin at saving, but how we spend.
how we
Like
spend.
let's start the conversation at how we spend. So once we tackle spending issues, we could then look at savings, right?
And that's where the financial literacy comes in.
Right.
And so another advice that I would like to give to employers, whenever you get people on board, educate them about financial literacy. Help them to understand how to manage their money. Help them to make wise financial decisions. But there are two aspects of retirement that we have not really discussed. So one of them is psychological preparation. Many times before we are retired, we're saying, Sabrina might say it to you, Paul, I'm glad I want to retire. And so we are like,
I said that for now.
it's that from now, right? I don't want to see Paul. I don't want to see Sunny. I want to be so happy. However, when that honeymoon phase wears out, there is no social interaction.
Yep.
People become depressed. They don't want to come out. Like they see no purpose in
Yeah.
coming out.
And I know I will suffer too.
You understand? So
I can't wait to not see them, but I know I wouldn't last a week. I can't
right,
even go 2
because
weeks.
even though they might get on your nerves, that social interaction is
Yeah.
very, very important for your mental wellness. So what I am advising after retirement, engage yourself in meaningful activities in your church.
Yeah.
Go to a school, maybe the school that you were teaching or where you attended as a child. Help out the students. Go to maybe an elderly home where you can give back, but ensure that you are engaged socially for your mental well-being.
You also spoke about physical well-being, which
Physical
I think is an
well-being.
important aspect as well, because it speaks to longevity,
It
doesn't
speaks
it?
to long, and that comes under healthcare.
Okay.
Ensure that you eat properly, that you keep active, you're engaged in physical activity. Look at you, Paul.
Yeah.
Because
You
you're
try a
engaging,
thing.
you
Yeah.
try a thing and it's working out,
Yeah.
and it makes you feel good.
Correct.
So, as you prepare for retirement, think of three things: financial preparation, psychological preparation, and health care. Remember, with NHI, there are some things that you have access to, but they don't cover major surgery. There might be some medication that you need that they don't have, and you will need money to get by those things. So that is why you need to focus on these areas.
Yeah. Are there just to step back a little bit, are there any other option for financially preparing for retirement here in Belize other than savings? Let's say you go the savings route, but you also want to bolster that perhaps via another avenue.
Well,
Like
there-
insurance
there-
companies.
There are investments too. You know, you can land is very, very profitable. Like if I had the knowledge that like 20 years ago, I live in Coral Grove. And you know what is the cost of a land in that area? Empty land, $200,000. But I did not have the financial knowledge that I have now, and I regret it. And so you have to think about investment, about good investments. Do your research.
Yeah.
Like land is a very good
I
investment.
love that.
You
I
know?
didn't even think about
Yes, 200,000 for an empty piece of land.
that. Which would have worth maybe
actually
50 or 30,000.
Less than that.
Less than
Behind me, somebody was selling me for 30,000. I never have no financial knowledge, and
Yeah.
I wasn't knowledgeable about investment, and I never bothered. But I regret it now.
Yeah.
30,000.
Yeah,
There are
I like
other
that
types of
alternative.
investments that people have fallen into, like trying to pay insurance companies for
Insurance
their own,
companies, right.
their own schemes that they have. And you know, one of the things, and of course, these persons, they will come on the couch and they will encourage you and say that it's also an investment. But I find it really challenging for people who are just trying to break into maybe that tax bracket. To pay all of these additional things like an insurance.
And health insurance is very, very good.
Health insurance.
But it's very expensive.
And then life insurance,
And
and then
so
they'll
the-
tell you, okay, if you're not getting a pension plan, you can also pay for that with us there.
But
What's your advice to them?
Well, my advice is that health insurance is very, very good. However, I would hope that employers would seek to get health insurance for their employees. And if you have a large number of employees, it would be cheaper for them. You understand?
Yeah.
So that is something else. To be very honest with you, let me tell you what I have done myself in response to your question. I save at HRCU.
Okay.
I was afraid to go in some of those insurance schemes. If you are aware, some of them did not work out well. I'm not saying that all of them.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's not a good thing, it's a good thing, but do your research.
And know your
first.
budget.
And know your budget, what you can afford.
Yeah.
You
But
understand?
I think it goes, the question that Sabrina asked goes back to what Jade mentioned earlier about your spending habits, right? Because we oftentimes make or bring up reasons, sometimes valid, but as to why we can't afford to invest in these very important components of our lives. And when you really sit down and do a budget and look at it, you realize that you can if you cut out wants.
Exactly, you can.
That you'll find funds available if you cut out wants. What do you think about that, Jen?
I think so, and I'd just like to add on that sometimes the excuses might be, I don't know, I need a drink, you know, I need at least smoke.
Your vice. You have a
It's
vice.
And sometimes it's because we have unresolved issues that, but you know, there are other aspects where you need to work on too.
Yeah, what's go ahead.
And you just have to make sure to understand that, okay, in the longer run, if I drink or I smoke, I'm gonna end up having diabetes or cirrhosis. So try to find other ways. It's not wrong to have feelings, you know, or to feel a certain way, but you could go to the gym, lift weights, you know, that's gonna help you to release whatever you're dealing with. Try to eat healthy, invest in the foods that you're eating as well, because sometimes we invest more on those vices, right?
Yeah.
Instead of things that are actually going to help us. And it's going to come back and haunt us definitely when we get older, because you'll have some chronic illness or you have to buy medications, and like she has mentioned, NHI is not going to cover everything. And I think you have to register for that, right?
You have to register for it.
So yeah.
All right. So, my producer is encouraging us to pull out our calculators again, because I like the idea of engaging and showing real numbers for a person who might have just reached the bracket of paying tax. So let's say that person is making roughly $2,100. What could their spending look like and still, you know, putting aside to save. In this day and age, the rent is roughly $1,000. You're lucky if you get it at a little bit less. So let's put rent at $1,000.
Now a high price of rent, but all right, 2,100.
Okay, utilities 200. I would actually put utilities
Higher than that,
So
higher
the
than
figure
that.
she's giving me, girl, we need to fix that. Then tax 150.
So well,
Remember,
so
they've raised the tax bracket too. So I
Yeah.
think
It's
I think
29.
It's 29 if you're making
the 2,900. That's where the tax.
tax.
That's where,
You
that's
don't pay
where-
any taxes.
Yeah, but
Okay,
once you're
right.
making below 2,900.
Okay, so $1,000
alright, well,
rent.
follow along. $1,000. So with the minus, right, from the
Yeah.
All right, so 1,000 minus 1,000 for rent,
Minus 200 utilities. Girl, your utilities are 200.
minus 1,000.
150
minus-
tax.
Right now. Right,
it's a single person.
Minus 200 utilities. Sorry guys, my calculator is all right. Minus 1,000. Sorry to step back. Minus 200 utilities.
Minus 150 tax.
150 tax. Well, so this is before tax salary. The salary before tax.
Yeah, it's
All
coming
right,
out. This
good.
is your month
Yeah, good.
expenses.
Yeah.
Then your social security deduction.
Yeah,
that would be
like
roughly
$50.
about $40. Yeah.
$40.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we still need groceries because we have to
Yeah.
eat, and this is for the month. So
Okay.
this is a single person. How much would you say for the month you eat?
I would say 450.
450.
450. All right. 450.
All right, and we still need to get to work. Are we walking
Yes.
to work? Are we driving?
We drive.
Okay, so we're driving.
Yeah,
but
need
we left.
$200 gas someone.
Okay, so
What?
200.
Yeah, come on.
More than that.
What? Yeah. All right, good. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
conservative.
right.
I'm gonna be conservative.
Let's say
My
you live
gas
in the
budget
city.
is $300 a month.
For the month?
Right.
Yeah, it's 300 in the city. Yeah, I spend
Okay.
$300 a month.
Okay.
for gas.
All right.
In
So
the city.
$300.
We're not got $300.
Take
we
out
got
the 300 though. They ain't at the
260.
rate.
But there's an important part that you did not mention.
Go ahead.
Under your expense, you must pay yourself first.
But we don't have the money we slap.
No, but you need to do that. Maybe you have to stop. Maybe some days you walk, pal.
Or maybe you find a more affordable housing.
$1,000
Right,
is
it's
a lot.
$1,000.
And instead of paying somebody's rent, get a mortgage. You
But
have
then,
somebody.
okay,
So,
wait.
but
Who
I-
land on this bad? Pause.
No, but
You're
that-
saying to get a mortgage, but we could barely afford $1,000 rent.
But you can get,
point.
well, it depends. People want to build a mansion on the hilltop. Start small.
Start small.
Start small.
Yeah.
2-bedroom house, and later on you extend, right?
Yeah.
Expand. But we need to put down, if we want to enjoy a peaceful and stress-free life, please, in your expensive saving must be the first thing you do.
Yeah.
So how much money we should pay ourselves?
I would say 10%, but you know what's my advice? Save, and anything you
Well,
save
could
is
save.
better than nothing
Yeah.
at all.
And that 10% goes, that's what we would be using as our retirement later on?
You could have it as your retirement fund, as your emergency fund. Maybe you divide it up into two. So 10% of 2,000 is $200. Maybe I might decide I'll put 100 or 50 in my retirement fund, 50 in my emergency fund. You know, divide it up. Because remember, you can have more than one sub account.
Okay.
And they're all earning interest.
One of the first things I would do here is definitely cut back on what I'm paying for rent. Right?
Can I add on to that? So I know of people that work here in Belize City, but they live in Corozal, and they prefer to go back home because it's only $400. I still find it expensive. And then I know of other people who are around my age, and they all live in an apartment. So
That's an interesting concept.
It's not just the 1,000 for one person, because that's a lot for one
Yeah, and
But,
it's
individual.
but here's
and
the
this
thing
is a
though,
single
for
person,
persons,
Sabrina.
for persons who are commuting, say out district,
Yeah.
yes, the rent might be cheaper, but you're paying for it in commuting.
Yeah.
So depending
you
on
just
how
have to
much the
budget
bus
it.
costs and whatnot, you might be paying the same amount that you'd pay for fuel or more.
Yeah.
Because I could tell you, I pay a lot for commuting.
But listen, if you cut down on the cost you're paying for rent, as one approach, let's say $600, maybe even $700, you already free up $300, right? And then after you don't realize you don't cover all your other costs, so you have $300 freed up that you could then decide, all right, maybe I'll take $150 or $200 from this and I'll begin to put it in savings, which means I'll have to be very considerate about taking up those invites from friends to go out and eat, to go to the next fete. It means that I'll have to curtail my happy, jolly driving around, and I'll perhaps have to walk to my locations after this.
Yeah.
It's hard, but
So Paul and Sabrina, I want to reiterate this. Make saving part of your expense the first thing. You pay yourself first. Because maybe even with the groceries, maybe there's something you can cut down.
that's true.
Start to cook more at home. Avoid, I'm not saying that you don't go out at all. You need to treat yourself. But some people eat out every single day. When you pass these vendors, long lines. Well, you can make your own breakfast home.
I'll take it a step further. One of the things I know that you can speak to your employer about is to have them do these deductions before you even get
So that it's an automatic transfer.
Do that.
You're
and then
right.
if you have anything extra, then you can send extra too.
Right.
But you can have that be systemized, that you don't have to, think hard, I send I leave 300 or I leave 400. It already happens. So whatever's in your account
if
is
you have to
yours.
call it a bill. Anything that it will help you to save, do it. And then look into other investments. As I said, I've heard people who have had invested their money in insurance companies for their pensions. Look into it and make sure that you do your research. I know of people who have successfully gained their pension from them. Try it and see, but you have to research.
My last question, because we'll have to wrap up this conversation, but what I realized this person has, based on the figures given, is somewhat of like an income issue. You don't have enough money to really do all you want to do in life. One of the things I heard you mention earlier had to do with side hustles. Right? How important of a component is that as well to kind of expand your leverage, if you would, so that you have more? Yeah, talk a bit about side hustles. Anyone?
Well, side hustles could just be anything that, it could be something that you like to do. It could come out of maybe aspirations, like for example, a teacher. They can do tutoring, right?
Yeah.
If you're a student, and you have really, really good grades, and there's a subject like maths that you are very good in, you can do evening classes with your own classmates, and earn a little bit out of that. You can also be a teacher, but if you like to do nails or hair, something to that effect, do it on the weekends, braid hair, all of those things.
And it helps,
and
right?
it helps. It's going to help, and it also helps you because it's something that you like to do.
Right. Yes, I agree. And earlier Jade said, let's say you are struggling with what the money you are making. Do a research. You don't want to do everything that everybody is doing. Try to be innovative. Try to create your own idea of how can I earn extra money. And invest in yourself, attend a training, do something. So Paul, you work here, but maybe go to IT vet, go learn about to become an electrician, to do AC. These things are big money, plumbing.
That is so true.
So all of these skills can help you with a side hustle.
But it's even also about using the skills you have. Like, we're good speakers.
Right.
So there's always activities out there where they're looking for speakers. They're looking for people to host, people to MC. How do we tap into those opportunities as well to make an extra buck on the side? So these are some of the ideas that I'm getting just from this conversation. So superb conversation.
Can we have Jade just say something?
That's exactly what we're going to do.
Just say hello and what we've been talking about. Give a quickly concise.
Hola, muy buenos días. Hoy estuvimos hablando sobre jubilación. Ella es la doctora Bab, es la directora ejecutiva de Peacework Belize, una organización que se encarga de empoderar a las personas, proveyéndoles a ellos el conocimiento y las habilidades para que puedan tener una mejor vida, no solo ellos, sino también las personas alrededor de ellos. Mi nombre es Jade Gómez y yo también soy parte del equipo. Hoy tocamos 3 áreas o 3 aspectos sobre cómo prepararte para la jubilación. Primeramente fue financieramente, segundo fue en el área psicológica y en el área tercera fue básicamente lo que tiene que ver con nuestra salud. En el área financiera, trata de empezar a ahorrar lo más antes posible, desde que estás jovencito, desde que tienes tu primer trabajo. Es muy importante que ahorres, porque a veces muchos de nosotros no somos oficiales que trabajan en el sector público. Entonces, si tal vez eres un empresario o acabas de emprender tu propio trabajo, trata de venir y empezar a ahorrar. Es muy importante. Ahora, también trata de hacer tus contribuciones hacia el seguro social y asegúrate que si tienes un empleador, que esa persona también haga las contribuciones. Ya que al momento que tengas 500 contribuciones, puedes venir y eres apto para calificar para una pensión. Si tienes de 26 a 499 contribuciones, entonces puedes venir y aplicar para una subvención, dependiendo de lo que decida el Seguro Social. También trata de venir y hacer presupuestos, ahorra regularmente y trata de darle prioridad a tus necesidades y no a los deseos que tengas. Y también si pongámosle eres parte de una cooperativa como un credit union, o si tienes tal vez un sistema de pensión en tu trabajo, haz preguntas, cuáles van a ser los beneficios, cómo son tus ahorros, cuándo puedes calificar para esos beneficios que tienes. En Holy Redeemer Credit Union puedes tener algo que se le llama subcuentas. Entonces tienes tu cuenta primaria y de cualquier subcuenta que tengas tú las puedes denominar como fondo de emergencia o fondo de jubilación, y todas esas subcuentas ganan dividendos. Entonces al final del año fiscal ellos te van a remunerar dinero por tener ahorros en esas cuentas. Entonces es muy bueno el beneficio. Ahora en el área psicológica, trata de venir y mantenerte activo, sé social, tal vez puedes ser un voluntario en una escuela, compartir de lo poco que tal vez tú trabajaste y así ayudar a otras personas a que puedan venir y también hacer trabajos sociales. También puedes venir y unirte tal vez a un ministerio en tu iglesia, tal vez el coro, el ministerio de damas, o el ministerio de caballeros, o ministerio de diáconos. Pero trata de mantenerte socialmente activo, para que así no entres en depresión o en estrés. Y también quiero resaltar que si tus finanzas están bien, tú vas a estar también muy bien mentalmente, no vas a estar estresado. Y últimamente en el área de la salud, trata de venir y comer bien, cambia tu estilo de vida. Si antes comías mucha comida chatarra o comprabas mucha comida, trata de cocinar más en tu casa, come tus vegetales y pues invierte en ti, es una inversión en ti. Y también haz mucho ejercicio, puedes unirte a un grupo de zumba, levantar pesas y hacer todos esos tipos de actividades que te mantengan activo para que tu físico esté bien. Y eso es todo, esas son las 3 fases importantes para la preparación de la jubilación. Muchas gracias.
Excellent.
Wow, Jade, you remembered everything we said?
I know, right?
She just went out the whole segment right there.
So I quickly,
Yes, quickly.
We decided on doing something in Spanish because I know Jade's mother can't speak English, and she has a lot of problems because many of the things that she would want to access, they are not they are not spoken in Spanish or written in Spanish. And I want to applaud Channel 5 too, because I think I see you have a Spanish news on the weekends. On the weekend, so
Yes.
that's very good. That's being very inclusive.
Excellent.
All right. Well,
thank you
ladies,
so much.
thank you so much for this conversation. It was quite a wonderful one, and we know that many of our viewers tuning in definitely enjoyed it as well. So thank you.
It was our pleasure. Thank you for having
All
us.
right, we take another quick break now, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, we have loads more conversation to look forward to.
Before we do that,
Yes, we have a motivational quote.
Yes, and so this is a motivational moment, and here's the quote. Challenges are what makes life interesting, and overcoming them is what makes life meaningful. From Joshua J. Marine.
Lovely and quite fitting with the conversation that we just had as well. We take a quick break now, and when we come back, Open Your Eyes continues.